I call to order the February 2026 meeting of the Academic Health Committee of the University of Minnesota Board of Regents. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for those who are joining us via the live stream video and those attending in the boardroom. Let me welcome our student representative today, Ethan Ellis from the Twin Cities campus. We're glad to have you here. I'll start by noting the period of transition that we are in. After tremendous work helping to make our university's health enterprise stronger, Vice President and Dean of the Medical School, Jacob Tolar, is departing for a new opportunity to lead Baylor College of Medicine. We'll have a chance as a board to thank him and wish him well tomorrow. As we await the start of our new interim Executive Vice President for Health Affairs and Dean of the Medical School, Carol Bradford, I'm thankful that EVP Vice President Goldman is willing to step in at this time as our senior leader liaison for this meeting. Our first item of business this afternoon is the discussion of the 2025-26 committee work plan. In collaboration with President Cunningham and her team, Vice Chair Lugar and I have developed the work plan based on the board's priority for this year to operationalize a new vision for the university's clinical partnerships that serve the needs of Minnesotans for generations to come. As a result, you'll notice that the work plan covers topics from a variety of the university's health sciences fields and highlights work that the university is doing across the state. In addition, and given the period of transition I mentioned, the work plan is flexible, and we have intentionally left space for emerging topics and timely updates. First of all, are there any questions or comments from committee members on our work plan? Okay, great. Seeing none, we'll move on. Our next item is an update on Destination Medical Center, the Economic Development Initiative in Rochester, Minnesota, and its connection to the University of Minnesota Rochester campus. Leading our discussion is Rochester Campus Chancellor Lori Carroll. And before we turn to the presentation, President Cunningham, would you like to tee this up for us?
Thank you, Chair Johnson and members of the committee. A key early action of our strategic roadmap is to expand the infrastructure of the Rochester campus to make possible increased enrollment that directly increases the health and healthcare workforce of Minnesota. Our current efforts to secure investment from partners like Destination, our current efforts include work with partners like Destination Medical Center and others, which is critical. Today, Chancellor Carroll will share the vision for an expanded campus set to move the university towards the goal of increasing the healthcare workforce for Minnesota. This is a vision that can only become a reality with the financial support from employer partners and others, such as Destination Medical Center. For more on this, I'll invite Chancellor Carroll to present to the committee.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, Regents, President Cunningham, good afternoon. The university's strategic roadmap, Elevate Extraordinary 2030, delineates the following core goal: expand the current healthcare workforce to meet the needs of all Minnesota, especially rural Minnesota. Given the specialization of the Rochester campus to prepare graduates for health careers, our enrollment growth is critical to achieving this goal to meet Minnesota's healthcare workforce needs. At present, the campus is at capacity, and we are seeking strategic investment from a variety of sources to make growth possible. Now, Chair Johnson calls Rochester home, but others among you may be less familiar. So just for the record, let me remind you that Rochester is a vibrant and growing city, the third largest in Minnesota after Minneapolis and St. Paul. This city is the perfect host to our health specialized campus. Rochester is a hub of healthcare research, clinical practice, and education, annually drawing well over 2 million patients and their companions to Minnesota from across the country and world. And this presents a multitude of immersive learning experiences for our University of Minnesota students. The city's job growth rate consistently outpaces all other cities in Minnesota, and the MedTech expansion in Discovery Square has gained traction, dramatically expanding Rochester's economic impact on the state. Minnesota's legislature recognized Rochester's contribution to the state's economy in 2013 as they established Destination Medical Center, the largest public-private economic development partnership in Minnesota's history. In the first 10 years of this 20-year endeavor, DMC has attracted nearly $10 of private investment for every $1 of public funds. They've created a 15% increase in the number of jobs in Rochester, boosted downtown housing by 100%, developed Discovery Square, home to the university and other significant innovators, and much more. This Rochester-based DMC initiative is at its halfway point, with a recently approved plan for its second decade of strategic investment to include workforce generation in health and health tech. With Mayo Clinic's $5 billion bold forward unbound expansion in Rochester, the city anticipates continued exponential growth and opportunity. Rochester is a Minnesota city perfectly aligned with the university's imperative to grow Minnesota's healthcare workforce exponentially by 2030. The physical area served by DMC in downtown Rochester is the same physical area the Rochester campus calls home, including the university's long-term leases in the heart of the city and Discovery Square, a biotech hub that is also home to biolabs, Nucleus Radiopharma, Boston Scientific, Rion, Epic, Thermo Fisher, Exact Sciences, and more. On this slide, each marker indicates a DMC project from the first 10 years. If you're interested, you can see the details on their interactive website. DMC's governing board makes decisions related to its investments and is composed of members appointed by the governor, the Olmsted County Board, the Rochester City Council, and Mayo Clinic. In December, President Cunningham, EVP Goldman, and I were invited by the DMC board to cast a vision for expanded infrastructure for the Rochester campus. In case you didn't see it, the post-presentation headline read, DMC Corporation Board expresses enthusiasm for UMR expansion plans. We'll take that headline. Today, I want to share that vision with you for awareness as we continue to move our planning and investment requests forward. And let me be very clear about the chicken and egg, cart before horse nature of this vision casting. Potential investors have asked for specifics about how we would grow the capacity of the Rochester campus. And yet, of course, this vision cannot come to fruition without significant investment. Our planning team has done due diligence to create this facilities expansion vision, while our campus level strategic roadmap metrics address the other elements of growth, such as new academic health programs to help the university achieve our healthcare workforce growth goals. Now and into the future, University of Minnesota students are not just studying in downtown Rochester, they are igniting their futures in this health-focused place. This inspiring learning environment is fueled by the intentional placement of university spaces adjacent to health and life sciences employers. And inside these spaces, we are harnessing the power of immersive learning, where students work shoulder to shoulder with future employers. These opportunities accelerate their readiness for impactful health careers. In this time of growth for Rochester, spurred on by the bold actions of DMC, the city, and Mayo Clinic, the University of Minnesota is poised to expand our impact and our footprint in downtown Rochester, and our commitment to be a driving force in the future of Minnesota's health and life sciences workforce, and our leadership role in creating a healthier Minnesota. In the DMC's 2025 plan update, we read the following compelling statement. We will design and invest in a city where health and wellness are embedded in the built environment, from housing and mobility to public spaces and climate resilience. Each project will enhance livability, sustainability, and inclusion, ensuring that health is reflected in the daily experience of residents and visitors alike. The University of Minnesota resonates with these collective aspirations as we imagine the expansion of the Rochester campus. Through our established Institute for the Environment and our Center for Sustainable Building Research, we are actively engaged in the critical work the DMC describes as an aspiration to design for well-being. Further, as biotech and medtech companies expand in Rochester's Discovery Square, we share not only priorities with DMC, but also partners, including collaborators in MedTech 3.0, Greater MSP, and Medical Alley. And we share a commitment to driving success and impact for Minnesota in all we do. DMC and Rochester's successful attraction of private investment and business has created a critical imperative to substantially expand and diversify the regional talent pipeline. The University of Minnesota is poised to meet this challenge in part by growing the Rochester campus. With focused investment from key partners, including DMC, the university will be ready to advance this expansion. Significantly, the state statute that established the DMC initiative called out learning environments as a key area for strategic development, accurately anticipating that DMC's success would dramatically intensify talent needs. Our three-part vision for a Rochester campus footprint that includes capacity for bolder enrollment growth and serves as a national model of health and sustainability includes additional lab classroom space, an academic building, and a student residential and recreation district. If funded so it could come to fruition, this multifaceted initiative reflects the priorities established in the Rochester Campus Plan approved by the Board of Regents in 2024. It also contributes to learning innovation and, of course, enhances healthcare workforce development for our state. So first, a proposal is in progress to lease and build out additional lab classroom space in Discovery Square to ensure we can increase enrollment and sustain our world-class education and student success outcomes. This initial phase will consolidate and expand our lab facilities, augmenting our existing long-term leases in Discovery Square. Intentionally side by side with BioLab's new spaces, we will be co-creating programs designed to optimally prepare students for life sciences internships, research roles, and entrepreneurship. Our tentative timeline for this project, contingent on securing the investment and Board of Regents approval, would anticipate these lab facilities will be serving future health professionals by fall of 27. There's more to come on this later this spring. If funded, the proposed expansion will be anchored by a new academic building intended to be the campus centerpiece. This facility will be designed to accommodate bolder enrollment growth, serve as a national model of sustainability, and advance the university's core commitment to transforming the future of learning through research-based innovation. Our task for 2026 is to secure the necessary investment and partners for this visionary project. Once funding sources are identified, we anticipate releasing an RFP for this facility, which will include 4 primary elements focused on fueling student success. First, we need future-forward learning environments. This building will be home to state-of-the-art AI-enhanced active learning classrooms specifically engineered to facilitate student success through immersive, interdisciplinary, and employer-integrated experiential learning. Second, the academic house, a centralized dedicated space that co-locates multidisciplinary faculty and student success coaches. Extending our successful Just Ask Center, this space will be designed to maximize student-faculty interaction, provide accessible career exploration and well-being resources, and foster dynamic collaboration spaces across disciplines and with our education and employer partners. The new academic building is also being imagined to feature a large-scale gathering space designed as a central campus crossroads, addressing our distributed downtown footprint. For a campus currently integrated across mixed-use buildings, this singular space is essential. It will serve as the primary connection point for the entire UMR community, facilitating interactions that generate a strong sense of belonging. Unless you think that belonging is fluff, please know from the research, belonging is the critical variable that fuels deep learning, supports student well-being, and drives timely degree completion. Simply put, this space is a missing link required for our growing campus community. We also envision this academic building as the home to the University of Minnesota's new National Institute for Learning Innovation Research, an anticipated outcome of Elevate Extraordinary 2030. This new space will serve as the university's primary hub for discovering and disseminating actionable practices to other educators. So with or without the new academic building, this National Learning Innovation Lab is a core element of strategic imperative to innovate to transform the future of learning. Leveraging the unique focus of UMR's faculty, this state-of-the-art center will catalyze research on student learning and development, drawing from and contributing to all 5 campuses of the University of Minnesota. You can also expect that this bolder vision fully embraces the university's aspiration to contribute to health in the built environment, decisively advancing well-being and sustainability, an aspiration shared by the DMC and the City of Rochester. So, if investment emerges, we will first expand lab classrooms in Discovery Square. Second, create an academic building like no other. And finally, final part of this 3-part vision for facilities expansion is a student residential and recreational district to be advanced through a public-private partnership project in a DMC sub-district very aptly named UMR and Recreation. It's right near Soldiers Field Park, just a block away from Discovery Square. This development will ensure student housing that supports UMR's evidence-based emphasis on community and well-being. This project will also fill gaps in recreation access, including a much-needed gymnasium to support our burgeoning intramural program, complemented by adjacency to the diverse activities available at Soldiers Field Park, which include a water park, a golf course, track and field, and more. Contingent on securing investment, we anticipate releasing an RFP later in 2026. Concurrently, and this is really important, we are actively securing additional temporary space for fall 26 and 27 to ensure our staff and faculty have the resources they need to sustain educational quality for every current student while we seek strategic investment for these projects to move forward. For the past decade, the University of Minnesota Rochester has successfully forged a unique community campus strategy. With support from the city sales tax, our campus is fully integrated within Rochester's downtown core. This allows our students to be deeply immersed in an extraordinary place that helps them move in the direction of their dreams to be healthcare professionals. The University of Minnesota Rochester is ripe with opportunity. We're poised to dramatically address surging workforce demand, especially around rural health and healthcare, to continue to grow and strengthen our economic impact, and to be a vital force that turns learning into action, outcomes, and values. This Rochester campus vision, cast to the DMC board in December and shared with you today, helps us imagine what a profound force for good we can continue to be in Rochester and throughout Minnesota, our nation, and world. So what's next? There's so much that is in progress. We are continuing to work with Mortensen Properties on the FIT plan and lease rates for lab classroom space in Discovery Square adjacent to biolabs. We anticipate bringing a lease proposal for this first phase of the project to the board later this spring. Simultaneously, faculty are moving forward with academic health program expansion design and digital and mental health, enhanced pre-med, and more. And you'll see some of those proposals later this spring in the mission committee. Our university planning team is assessing potential sites for the academic building while also validating the program plan to inform an eventual RFP once investment sources are determined. We are also modeling student housing needs given academic program plans to inform an eventual RFP for that part, the P3 part of the project. The most important next step is to secure investment to move this plan from vision to reality. A request related to investment is anticipated at the May DMC board meeting. This is happening after a positive response to our update at their February meeting last week, and of course, the vision casting back in December. Further, we'll be working with the city of Rochester this spring as well to discuss remaining city sales tax dollars set aside to support UMR's growth. So let me come back to the why for this vision and our pursuit of strategic investment. We have dire health and healthcare workforce needs across Minnesota that must be remedied for the health of this state. The university strategic roadmap delineates that core goal: expand the current healthcare workforce to meet the needs of all Minnesota, especially rural Minnesota. Every additional student at UMR is a future health professional. We're at capacity with just over 1,100 students served. Minnesota needs us to scale, and so we are seeking strategic investment from a variety of partners. My colleagues are present in person today. Jack Ryan Feldman, he can give a little wave, and Katie Piquel. We welcome your feedback and your questions.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Carroll, for that wonderful report. It's great to hear this. As a citizen of Rochester, I'm delighted with this. I could report that the city is delighted with this. We're very happy to have UMR there and expanding and growing, and it certainly meets part of the whole plan for our kind of mutual goals to increase the healthcare workforce for the entire state, and it's great. So thank you so much for that. Could you say a word? I know, so you know that, as you alluded to, the citizens of Rochester voted to give ourselves, myself included, ourselves a sales tax, right? So, and can you mention what that's been used for? Do you know?
Yes, thank you for that, Chair Johnson, and thank you for your vote on that.
I couldn't pass up this opportunity,
Yes, as the campus was being launched, the city of Rochester voted to designate a portion of city sales tax to support the physical expansion of the Rochester campus. And that fund has been utilized over the years for a variety of build outs in our long-term lease spaces. Most recently contributing to our project in 318 Commons that created our first academic house. So there are remaining funds there, and we'll be having a study session with the city council to share this vision and our pursuit of strategic investment related to that vision.
Well, thank you for that as well. I know there are questions by colleagues here, and we'll turn to them at this time. Regent Tad Johnson.
Yes, thank you for your presentation, Chancellor. Just a historic note, for many years, Duluth was the number 3 city in Minnesota. It's been a while, so but I was just in Rochester last week, and it looks there's a ton of construction going on all over the place. It's really an exciting, bustling place to be. I think I asked you this a couple of years ago, but I'll just reiterate. What I was most amazed with when it came to looking at the curriculum and the way the professors interact with the students and the way the professors interact with each other, the chemistry professor would work with the mathematics professor to ensure that when they go to the next phase of chemistry, they would be prepared with the mathematics, et cetera. And there was always a professor sitting in the studying space to ensure that if they had a question on anything, any student could ask. And I asked you at the time, if you expand, if that small kind of college feeling and the access to the professors and the professors working with each other could be scaled once, if you happen to get larger, which it appears you're going to do. So I'm just hoping you don't lose that, and I'm just wondering if you figured out a way to scale all that.
Chair Johnson, Regent, absolutely a concern not only that you have expressed, but our students, faculty, and staff have expressed as well. And so we are being very intentional as we make our plans to scale to keep that sense of belonging variable strong so that it doesn't come only from being small, which some have said, but instead from the strategies we are using in the physical space and in the programming. So the Just Ask Center that you mentioned will continue. The academic house with the multidisciplinary faculty approach to curricular design and to physical space will continue, but there will be multiple Just Ask centers and multiple academic houses, still multidisciplinary in nature. So we have a firm commitment. It's even stated in our campus level strategic roadmap that we will not subdivide by discipline, as we do think that curricular design is part of the secret sauce for the outcomes that we have been generating. So we are being very intentional to address your question, as it's a question of so many.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Regent Goldberg-Luger.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Chancellor Carroll, thank you so much. This is so exciting. It's really fantastic. So I've heard you refer to scale and, you're at capacity. Is there a vision for, what that scale, what the numbers are going to look like in terms of student enrollment or ideal and how that might happen over time?
Yes, Chair Johnson, Regent, thank you for the question. In 2019, we launched a strategic plan for the campus that did focus on the scaling question. We have 3 phases that I call bold, bolder, and boldest.
That's right.
Bold being 1,000. And do note that some other large employer in our neighborhood has taken on that word. I'm sure they got it from us, but that bold is 1,000 students, and starting from 52 in that first graduating class, that was indeed a bold enrollment target. And we have surpassed that, and that's why we're out of space. The second target was 1,500. We call that bolder. And the third target, 2,500, boldest. But there is the suggestion, given the healthcare workforce needs of the state, that there is something beyond boldester, maybe. But we are planning these facilities with the boldest 2,500 target in mind. As to timeline, it is completely dependent on strategic investment to make this possible. As of today, we're up over 10%, almost 11% in confirmations from our record year last year at this time. And we can continue to grow with qualified students if we have the space. Remember, we are getting some temporary space for the next couple of years, but the timeline could be 2030 if we secure the investment we need to make the facilities vision I just described come to fruition. It could slow down if we don't have that strategic investment and cannot expand the facilities. And I just also want to underline, it's not only facilities expansion, but also academic program expansion, and all of that in partnership with employers and with others across the University of Minnesota.
Thanks.
Okay. Regent Turner?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I have a question about the funding. So does the funding, are you expecting anything from the state of Minnesota? Because you should just kill that right now as far as help. Does all the investment come from donations? to be able to build this wonderful dream that we have here?
So Chair Johnson and Regent Turner, we are seeking strategic investment from a variety of sources. So our employer partners within healthcare, a source. There is local legislative support to
Okay.
drive some investment in this build out, remembering that our current spaces are leased spaces. There is this economic development initiative, Destination Medical Center, that we were focused on today. The city of Rochester and the remaining city sales tax, about which we'll be having a study session. And of course, there's the opportunity for philanthropy. Should any of you be interested, we'd be happy to name our anything after any or all of you together. So yeah, it's a multifaceted pursuit of strategic investment. And, that is the priority over this first and second quarter of 2026.
President.
Chair Johnson. And first of all, Chancellor Carroll, thank you so much. None of this would be possible without your amazing both vision as well as the deep partnerships that you've forged across Rochester, where you're well respected enough to be able to have all of this conversation even be able to happen. So I am very excited about this. VP Goldman and I had an excellent day down in Rochester with you, and it was a pleasure and an honor to get to present to the board there. Well, we will need partnership, and it is important to cast this vision. It's important to see what we can do with the vision that's casted. We do have enrollment growth and certainly planned need for across the state. And we do understand, EVP Goldman and I, that we will likely have to make some university investment as well. But the scale and magnitude can only be achieved with other partnerships. And that's where we're seeking, creative opportunities with partners who have a similar vision across the state of Minnesota, in this case, Destination Medical Center.
Thank you, Chair Johnson.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Chancellor Carroll. So as of right now, there are no graduate programs at U of R, and obviously a large number of these students will need, post-baccalaureate education to get the jobs they want. While we would love for these students to remain within the U of M system, some of them might leave us for institutions like Mayo or the various private institutions that offer mid-level provider degrees. So I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to what the current relationships with those other institutions in Minnesota are, and how you see those relationships evolving as UMR evolves in the coming years.
Yes, thank you, Chair Johnson, Regent. Our partnerships in Rochester and beyond are quite strong. Being a startup campus, a partnership was the way. We have three principles: students are at the center, research informs practice, and partners make it possible. So I love the question about partners. We have, with our partners within the university and with Mayo Clinic, created a set of programs that we call Get Forward Faster. And a quick Google search will get you to a very long list. We use our senior year capstone as a curated next step into graduate and professional programs, cutting off a year total for the students. For example, if they're going on to dental school, we're about to hear that presentation, or medical school or PA school, the list is very long. Those partnerships within Mayo Clinic have been established for most of the lifespan of this young campus in some of the allied health fields, where we provide the baccalaureate completion, while the technical skills are provided by our partners at Mayo. Over 2/3 of our students do go on for advanced study, and the most common career approach is stopping out and working at Mayo Clinic for a year to 3 years before going on. I would call to your attention our strong rates of graduate acceptance into medical school. so 68% compared with a national average of 44%. And for our strong partnerships within the University of Minnesota in these Get Forward Faster programs, knowing that while the students are stopping out to work at present, we are wanting to get them to their career launch because we need a healthier Minnesota.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Any other questions this time? Chancellor Carroll, thank you so much for this presentation. I just want to add in here, it's probably clear, but UMR is very much, it's a initiative of education that's very much respected and loved in the city of Rochester. It's been really great. We haven't had an undergraduate institution like that before in our history. It's something that felt a miss before, and this has been a fantastic way to connect that kind of education and the opportunities in healthcare for internships, employment, and then advanced schools. And that Chancellor Carroll's a beloved figure in the community. No, it's true. It's true. I have to say it, because she's very collaborative and as you can kind of sense, and that really makes a huge difference. So, thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for this great report, and look forward to continuing as we hear updates throughout the year. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I also want to take a moment to welcome Student Representative Vera Barkowski. At the time we started, sorry, Vera, we hadn't turned on the screens, so I had no idea that you were there. And then as soon as Chancellor Carroll came on, so I saw your name. So anyways, apologize for the delay, but we're delighted to have you join us.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the board. It's nice to see you all.
All right. Our third item will highlight the School of Dentistry, capital investment project that is part of our 2026 state capital request. Executive Vice President Provost Gretchen Ritter and Dean of the School of Dentistry, Dr. Keith Mays, will present the item. And President Cunningham, would you like to start us off, please?
Thank you, Chair Johnson and members of the committee. We're advocating for dentistry clinical renovation for really good reasons. At the University of Minnesota, we are the only dental school for the entire state. And when we train our dental students, we provide clinical opportunities throughout Minnesota as part of this training that wind up serving needed clinical services all across the state. This means our dental students are serving rural areas and getting involved in those communities. We do this more than most of our peer dental schools, and this also means they're more likely to stay and practice in rural areas. I've seen this firsthand. In recent travels, I visited 2 dental clinics, the Hibbing Community College Dental Clinic and the Wilmer Centricare Dental Clinic. So even though the funding comes directly to the Twin Cities for such a renovation, it allows expanded access to care, a key element in our strategic roadmap, all across Minnesota. This funding cannot come soon enough. For comparison, we are the last of the Big Ten schools to renovate our dental school, and we need to renovate to fulfill our mission to serve our state, to be able to provide modern training facilities for the folks who will receive care all across the state, as we provide 70% of that dental training. At this time, I'd like to invite Provost Ritter to share more about the impact of the dentistry clinical renovation.
Thank you, President Cunningham and Chair Johnson. I'm pleased to join you this afternoon to introduce Dr. Keith Mays, Dean of the School of Dentistry, who will discuss a strategic proposal for a transformative capital investment project. Our School of Dentistry is a critical regional resource that provides over 100,000 annual patient visits and educates more than 70% of our state's practicing dentists. Today's presentation will detail a vital renovation plan for Moose Tower designed to modernize 50-year-old facilities and integrate the latest in digital dentistry and team-based clinical care. This initiative is not merely an infrastructure update, but a necessary evolution to ensure our students remain at the forefront of dental pedagogy and that we continue to serve Minnesota's most vulnerable populations with excellence. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Dean Mays.
Thank you, Provost Witter. Good afternoon, Chair Johnson and members of the Board of Regents Academic Health Committee. Good afternoon, President Cunningham and VP Goldman. I'm excited to share with you this afternoon on how investing in renovations for the dental school aligns with the university's mission and would have a positive impact on the oral health and overall health of Minnesotans. As you know, the School of Dentistry has been located in Moose Health Science Tower since the mid-1970s. The school has a teaching, research, and clinical enterprise. Although the U.S. dental schools don't participate in academic rankings in an academic ranking system, we are ranked 38th in the Shanghai rankings and 13th in the Blue Ridge rankings for research. As a dental school, we shine because of our overall comprehensive program that includes 7 advanced education specialty programs, a DDS PhD program, the only DT program, dental therapy program, associated with a R1 institution, a dental hygiene program, and of course, our DDS program. The School of Dentistry has a significant impact on the health of Minnesotans. We provide approximately 100 patient visits annually. Our partnerships throughout the state and in neighboring states has grown to 24 in recent years. When I first came here 10 years ago, it was around 15. And our outreach clinics train students, as was mentioned earlier, to work with rural and underserved communities. In the Moose Tower Clinic, 48% of our patients rely on medical assistance programs, making us one of the largest safety net providers in the state. At the school, we are proud of the fact that we educate approximately 73% of the state's practicing dentists, 68% of licensed dental therapists, and 49% of dental hygiene educators. The School of Dentistry is committed to improving the health of Minnesotans across the state. Our mobile dental clinic that started as a partnership with UCare provides care across metro and rural areas. In 2024, the mobile dental clinic was a recipient of an OWACA Clinical Training Site of Excellence Award. This care is provided by our students who rotate to various clinics and outreach sites, as is seen in these pictures. We are an exemplar, as President Cunningham has said, because of the time that our students rotate to these clinics. Between 10 and 12 weeks, our students are out at these clinics, compared to some schools where a student may only rotate once or twice a week. So we have a really robust outreach program that is a vital source for our state. We know that oral health is a vital indicator of overall health, and in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota plays a pivotal role in advancing health. Renovating the School of Dentistry is an opportunity to transform oral health care for all Minnesotans. And I am here today, and I hope this presentation will be the context for the necessity of a capital investment in the School of Dentistry at Moose Tower. As you're aware, we said before, Moose Tower really hasn't been renovated since it was built in 1974. We've had limited small projects, updating labs, and updating our simulation clinic, and that was almost 10 years ago in 2007. But renovating right now will actually help us improve our patient experience and workflow, better integration of technologies, update, stabilize our HVAC system, improve recruitment for our future students, support the improved oral health care of Minnesotans by a holistic educational experience integrating new technology, advancements in oral health. What you see in this picture is the top 3 panels is our current clinical facility. As you can tell, it's dated, but what you see in comparison to the lower right and left panel is there's no technology. And so these renovations will allow us to really improve technology and better integrate the educational process for our students. We also have some limited and poor workflows where you see this lobby presentation, and so we'll be able to update how our patients experience our clinics and improve our patient experience as well as our teaching modalities. One of the main reasons and pivotal reasons that we think this renovation is important is our simulation clinic. It now seats about 127 or so students. But over the years, our classes have grown. Our dental student class has grown, our dental therapy class has grown, and our path student class has grown. And we now don't have really the capacity to have these students there. Some of our students dental hygiene, and our past students actually do their simulation experiences on the 8th floor in a clinical space that we actually don't care for patients in. So by renovating our preclinical space, it will allow us to move our students off of the 8th floor and move them into one space, but it also will increase our capacity on the 8th floor to care for more patients and to educate more students. One of the things that we have to do to renovate this 4th floor, if we look at the right panel, so the little small conceptual details, not real small, and it's hard for me to even see, but what we did on the left side, would be an after rendition, is that used to be a student locker room. And so what we are planning and proposing is that we take out that space and place in more benches for our students to be housed there, with a retaining wall that will allow us to have a dental hygiene having a simulation experience and a dental class having a simulation experience at the same time. What we also are proposing is that we move away from the linear type benches, but into an octagon or hexagon type of benches that will create more collaborative spaces. So it's also creating more space for our students, but it's also creating a different educational environment. And so, as President Cunningham said, we're trying to do everything from technology to education to see more people. In our 8th floor, what we want to do is, this is the 8th floor, but I want to highlight a couple things in what we're planning. The panel on the left is how we're currently depicted. The arrow is trying to highlight where we currently have faculty offices. What we learned from COVID is that we have aerosols in our clinics, and faculty had to go through those aerosols to get to their clinics during COVID. This was not a good idea. And so what we want to really do is to move that to the front of the clinics and have the clinics only be the clinics. But what we also want to do is to create some innovative space in the middle where students can collaborate with faculty, have a time to check and have a huddle, do a small presentation, and we also want to open up the walls so that we can see from one clinic to the other clinic better. This is also the foundation of us leaning into our team care model, where we believe that patients should be cared for by our dental therapists, our dental hygienists, and our dental students together as a whole, as a team. And so these renovations, by tearing down some of these walls, actually open up and give us the opportunity to do those things. One of the things that we did a few years ago is our general practice residency program closed down. We maintained the records and the patients who had special health care needs. We brought them into the dental school, but we didn't renovate. We just kind of shoehorned them in an area where we had some capacity. We really need to kind of build that out so that it is designed for those patients. Some of you have come in and toured the building, and one of the things that I tried to highlight is that to get to this clinic is a very, very long hallway. And so they don't have a separate waiting room for them to wait in. And if you have to be wheelchair down that hallway, it's a really, really long hallway. So I really think this is an opportunity for us to redesign the space to better meet the needs of our special health care needs patients. And just to compare, some of our Big Ten schools have already undergone renovations. This just happens to be some of the new spaces at the University of Michigan. So I was asked, how did I get these slides before? Yeah, I'm getting you off the hook now.
Coincidentally.
I was asked how I got these slides before, and I said I reached out to some of my friends. So I also have friends at Ohio State, and so they also have a renovated clinic. And it's just, I mean, this is really meant to just contrast the image you saw of our clinics and these other clinics. And so lastly, is Indiana, who's also have renovation, and in the center, there's some technology that they are working on. So we definitely need to be, we're behind, and we really need to invest in our dental school and to upgrade our facilities. So again, just to bring it back around, reconfiguring a clinical space on our 6th floor to better meet our special health care needs patients, modernizing and expanding our preclinic education to house all learners, reconfiguring clinical space on our 8th floor to facilitate team care model and increase clinical capacity, and building infrastructure upgrades, including HVAC, are all the things that are in our plan and are vitally needed at this time. We're proposing a renovation of about approximately 108,000 square feet. And we're glad that we hope that this will be a part of the capital campaign. We already have started a capital campaign. We've engaged donors. We've started a committee, and we have talked to legislatures. And so we've been really active in trying to really kind of get this kick-started. And we're just here today just to get your support. And thank you all who've come out and toured and all the support that you've given thus far. And this is where we are transforming Minnesota's dentistry.
Thank you very much, Dean Mays. And thank you for the tour, the Board of Regents. That was December, I believe, right?
Yes,
In our December
yes,
board
yes.
meeting, we all had the opportunity to tour the facilities and see what they're like currently and what the vision for the better. And this is fantastic. Great to have this presentation. Thank you. So I'll open it now to questions from my colleagues. Regent Turner.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. First of all, the team approach, I take it you want to simulate like you would be going to the regular dental office, right? You see the hygienist and the dentist, right?
Yes.
So my question is, which floor are you going to start on? Because 8th floor is where that team approach is going to happen?
Yes, we'll start on 8. We have 2 clinical floors that are primarily where our dental students work, and that's 8 and 9. So 9 would still be functioning. And so hopefully when we start to pre-design and start talking a little bit more conceptually for me, that one section, because we don't use it at all, if we can start there also, it will allow us a chance to kind of decompress as we move into the other spaces.
Oh, that's fortunate. So you can just kind of keep moving people around as you build on all the other floors?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Continue work. Any other, I just had one question. I think we all know what a DDS dentist is and a dental hygienist. Can you just say a word about dental therapists?
So dental therapists, some people will refer to them as a mid-level provider. A great comparison is a PA.
PA or NP or
And
something,
so they can do some simple, really simple extractions, more simple restorations. A comparison is like they might do a composite restoration on you, but they won't do a dental implant on you.
Okay. Thank you. It's good to know, I think, yeah.
Can I ask,
Regent Turner.
what kind of technology are you thinking we can bring in? Point in case, people that wear, bites and things like that. I mean, my dentist got this fancy little equipment here that he designs it all. Is that what, no, seriously, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and so one of the things that we need to do, it's on one of the other floors, however, is one of our labs. And right now, it's currently set up for really kind of when I was in school, in that we would used to have what's called a boil-out tank, where you would make a denture, and it's kind of one of the last steps. But what we want to do is convert that area into a milling station or a design station. The restoration that you're talking about go from that intraoral scanning into some design space, and either it's milled or 3D printed. And so that's what we want to do in those spaces. So the answer is yes. The more that we can renovate, the more that we can build in some of these newer technologies. One of the things that currently is not in place is our operatories or the places that we work don't have scanning connected right there. So it'll give us a chance to do scanning right there and the space to do those things. Electric handpieces, all future technology that may kind of come up, we'll be able to kind of position ourselves to be ready for that.
Great.
Regent Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair Johnson, and thank you very much, Dean Mays, and thank you, Provost Ritter, for this presentation. I am just so pro on this. One of the things that I learned from you and from the tours is that, first of all, it's difficult for anybody to find dental care right now. I just went through an office closure and know it myself.
Yes.
But it's almost impossible for those on medical assistance to find it. And that you serve so much of the medical assistance population is key. And then the other thing I'll ask, but I think I know, but those other states that have made investments in this area, their universities, I believe they're not the sole medical school available in those states. Is that correct? And we are the sole one for our state.
Yes, we are the sole one, but not only that, we reach to the Pacific Northwest. And so we also educate some students from North Dakota, Wisconsin, South Dakota. There's nobody until we get to Oregon and Washington.
Wow,
So we have a pretty wide catchment of students that we take.
that's incredible. Thank you.
President
Yeah,
Cunningham.
Chair Johnson, thank you again. Dean Mays, this is wonderful. This is really badly needed. You know, again, not just to keep up with our peers, but if we look at the facilities that we have, those facilities are not going to be adequate to train future dentists. We have to have different facilities, and the state of Minnesota needs that. So I'll just ask all to be on, you know, as we go to the Capitol Day, remember, this is we're, as we talked about before, it's a biennial budget year. This is not a year we're asking for a budget. The things we're asking for this year are this and the St. Paul Campus Center. And both are critically needed to support students across greater Minnesota, to support patients across greater Minnesota. They're not about the Twin Cities and their critical infrastructure. And so those are the two, if you remember two things, those are the two things to really work on as we go to the Capitol this year. So thank you so much.
Regent Bergstrom.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Dean, thank you for all of that. Couple things. Having toured it, I'm amazed that you educate students as exceptionally as you do. And the renovation will not be easy. So kudos to you, and let's go get that money. Curious about the technology piece, as I'm pretty sure I'm the only regent in history to lose a crown during a meeting. It's a true story.
Take me to Moose.
I'm curious. So I've seen the technology in the dentist's office, right? And it's amazing. So you'll get the new technology. Is there thoughts on how do you then, because it's ever evolving, there's some built-in obsolescence. How do you keep it, how do we then not fall behind again? Like, how do we keep that piece going?
We're as a dental school, we're not the only one who has a difficulty with this, and the challenge is compared to a clinical private practice. If they were to buy a CIRAC unit, which is the wand that's used for same-day crowns, they would buy one, and if it got improved, they could buy another one in the second year. But when we buy one, we buy 10 or 20 because we're educating 400 students. And we are always having to ask the question, when to jump in. And so we advance as quickly as we can, and we advance, when we kind of know that there's some proof behind it. And we also advance, and I just did an interview with the faculty position today. We had also advanced as we hired new faculty. And they actually help us drive change into those new places. And so I think some of our newer colleagues who we will hire over the future next 5 years or so will be very capable for AI compared to faculty that I might have done 10 years ago. And so that's also the thing that drives our change, is the faculty who control the curriculum.
Thank you.
Regent Lugar.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. This is quite just a logistical issue. I've heard a number of things discussed today that I think we want to highlight when we go to the Capitol. We have a fabulous new government relations person and team, and I'm assuming that there will be sort of some guidelines and talking points for us as we go to that day. Thanks.
Can I just ask briefly, of the 3 levels of training that you do, how many years it takes? Obviously, dentists will have
The DDS
undergraduate
is 4 years in our program. Dental hygienists are 2 years after 2 years at an undergrad institution.
Right.
And then our dental therapists are just over 2 years, 2.5 years or so.
And the numbers in those, in our...
We educate about 24 hygiene. The dental therapists are 8,
Okay.
but they are also dual trained, so they're trained as a dental hygienist and a dental therapist.
All right, okay,
And then we're enrolling 105 dental students currently.
thank you.
We have an additional 18, what's called PASS program, is internationally trained dentists who come in midway, and they'll do 2.5 years, and then they'll get a DDS. So even though we enroll 105, we graduate 120 or so.
Oh, fantastic, that's interesting. Regent Turner?
This is for, I see government relations back there. So kind of piggybacking off of Regent Lugar's suggestion, these pictures that are on here, especially the before and the after, et cetera, no, is there any way that we can get some kind of a little booklet or tool? I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money on it, but that we can actually be showing the befores and afters? Could we be using this as a tool when we go up to the Capitol? Okay, thank you.
We're seeing thumbs up just for those people who are live streaming. Yeah.
I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so.
Are there any other questions? Not, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Dean Mays, for this excellent report, and we look forward to working with you and the legislature on the next steps. Thank you. Our next item is to consider the consent report. Executive Vice President Goldman will summarize the item in today's report.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. This consent report seeks approval for the appointment of Regent Samuel Hines to the university's representative seat on the Fairview Board Services Board of Directors. Regent Hines brings extensive experience as an attorney, human rights advocate, and former U.S. ambassador. If approved, his term will be effective tomorrow through the end of 2026, aligning with the current University Fairview agreement. This appointment ensures we maintain strong, high-level representation and continuity during this critical time for our health system partnership. President Cunningham recommends approval of this consent report.
Regent.
If I may, thank you, EVP Goldman, and thank you, Chair Johnson. I was at the board meeting. They invited me to come and meet their people this morning. It was a very warm and interesting meeting and productive, I think. There is contemplated at this point some perhaps alternative arrangements by which we can make use of the consultative committee that's contemplated in the mediation agreement. So that's in process. I think Doug Peterson is working on that, and we'll move back to the board with that. But perhaps it would be appropriate to delay a vote on this. I think it's however you want to proceed.
That seems reasonable. Are there any other thoughts or objections?
We're in mid-flight on trying to work out arrangements with Fairview, and at this point, it's all very. I think we had a good meeting this morning. They were pleased to see me and very warm and welcoming, and I think we have in mind some very strong ways to exchange information, exchange views, and work together going forward.
President Cunningham, would you? Oh.
Yeah, Chair Johnson, I think, as Regent Hines noted, there's more work to do in our next level of definitive agreements and things to be put in process formally. And so, although this was put on the agenda a few days ago, it may make sense for it to be pushed until our next meeting for further discussion, as Doug Peterson is still in process.
Okay, then at the report.
Sure.
Oh,
Chair Johnson.
Yeah.
So there's not yet a motion before, so it is your prerogative as the chair of the committee if you would like to postpone the item.
I would like to postpone that item at this time. Thank you. Any further discussion on anything?
Yeah, information items.
Which? Oh, we got one.
It's a theme. All right.
We got one more, okay. All right, this won't be long, folks, okay. That brings us to the information items. Thank you all. Executive Vice President Goldman, anything to highlight?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. The information report contains one item regarding the Center for Nursing Equity and Excellence annual report and update to the state. Headquartered in our School of Nursing, the center is our primary engine for addressing Minnesota's nursing shortage by increasing the pipeline of LPNs, RNs, and APRNs, while prioritizing faculty retention and nursing equity in greater Minnesota. Dean Delaney is here with us should there be any questions.
Thank you very much, EVP Goldman. You know that Dean Delaney is here. Would you be willing to just say a word about this at this time, please?
Thank you, Chair Johnson and VP Goldman. Yes, what you have is the legislative report for the last year. You also have links to the more comprehensive report of the activities of this center. And as you were saying, I want to highlight that it is the formal nursing workforce center for the state of Minnesota. And it is in partnership and recognized nationally with 48 other states. And I highlight that to share the flow of information, knowledge, experience, and learnings across all 48 states. There may be questions related to the funding that did not happen in the last legislative session, so I'll speak to that.
Yes, please.
Last session, as we all experienced, was a session that had great delays. The normal routine processes for how bills progress, some of that was disrupted. And this situation was part of that delay and disruption. What happened is that the bill, because of the processing through normal processes, did not receive jacket until after the committee deadline. It's as simple as that. And we are positioned in this session. The bill is alive and well, and we're fully positioned for moving into this session.
Thank you very much for that report and that relatively good news then. Are there any other questions or comments on this? Okay. Thank you, Dean Delaney. There being no additional business before the committee, we stand adjourned.